How about a bullwhip?
Woo!
Woo!
And we are back. This
cold?
episode.
You cold, Dan? Cold?
No, I'm just wearing this UCLA
Jacket,
windbreaker.
Okay.
But I prefer to zip it up. I'm a little cold actually.
It is chilly.
We're going to be kind of going back to, our basics today and just covering one film that we watched together, and it's a Western. So,
A modern day Western.
Some might call it a hybrid of like a Western and a noir, which it definitely is, but I think it leans probably more Western than noir in my opinion. So yeah, without further ado, the film we're going to be covering today is Bad Day at Black Rock.
Based on a short story called Bad Day. Hold on.
Bad Day at Honda.
Bad Day at Honda.
Which I assume is the Japanese Honda?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, it's a car.
Anyway, we
car.
should say as a disclaimer before we get into it, because some people who've watched our shows where we do deep dives on films before, such as Lonely Are the Brave or Last Tango in Paris, or Paper Moon. Stop now. Pause the podcast. If you haven't seen Bad Day at Black Rock,
just stream it.
Stream it. You can come back and then resume from here, because we're going to be we're talking spoilers and reveal the whole plot. We're going to be talking about the production, the themes, the whole thing. So we're going to be getting into it. And if you haven't seen it, now's your chance to set down your cup of coffee, pause the film, and it's a nice, swift 90 minutes.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask Danny too, because we really didn't. This came up a day ago, 2 days ago. I just got a text from Dan. Hey, after we play golf Wednesday, do you want to do a pod? And here's your homework.
Yeah.
And so what made you think of that movie?
The thing that put it on my radar, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit this because I typically don't like to be on social media this much, but the Criterion channel posted about Bad Day at Black Rock, and specifically,
I saw that thing because they were talking about the Cinemascope.
But they also talked about the fact that the commentary is legendary because, John Sturges recorded DVD commentary, which I guess is extremely insightful. And I think Paul Thomas Anderson.
I might have to get the DVD because I'd like to hear that. And it's obviously when you stream it.
Yeah.
That was not an option.
No. But apparently Paul Thomas Anderson says that the commentary alone, John Sturges' commentary on that film alone is more valuable than 4 years of film school, which I would believe. But anyway, yeah, so it was a social media post from the Criterion channel that led me to this film. That's not to say, for all you out there going, oh my God, Danny, wait, I thought you were a movie buff. What, you just go on the Criterion page and that's how you pick things? No.
Who would say that?
I'm just saying, if there's haters out there that are saying that, listen, I knew of this film. It was on my watch list. It was on my radar. It was definitely on my Letterboxd watch list.
Your bona fides are solid.
It was the prompting I needed to put it back on my radar. Yeah. And I will say it was one of those things where it was kind of a perfect alignment because without getting into too many details, I'm working on another project kind of set in the area where this film was shot. Up in the Eastern Sierras, Alabama Hills, near Lone Pine, California, off the 395. Like if you're taking the road up to Mammoth, it's that whole Owens Valley, which is beautiful. You have the White Mountains in the Eastern Sierras. They've shot tons of movies up there, a bunch of John Wayne movies. Referenced in Chinatown because that's where we stole all the water for LA. Anyway, so I've been researching that area and researching films shot in that area. And when I heard about this, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I need to watch the film because they shot the entire thing up in Alabama Hills,
and
Lone Pine.
I was aware of it because I'm a Spencer Tracy fan, and it was just one of those titles that had been. I knew of it. I just hadn't seen it.
Yeah,
I thought I had it. And I was digging through my book of classics and older films, and I don't. So
I know it's kind of well, again, in that era when they kind of had an assembly line at Hollywood and people were on contract and directors were doing at least 1 or 2 movies a year. It's like there's so many gems that kind of get lost. It's like you forget sometimes. John Sturges, Magnificent Seven.
Yes. We just read an interesting thing about that.
Gunfight at the OK Corral. He's done a lot of Westerns.
One of my childhood faves, which was Ice Station Zebra.
So he kind of moved between action
Yeah,
World
he
War
said
II
he had a reputation
action.
as doing really character and drama based films in it that couched in genre pictures.
Yeah.
One of those guys that made the most of what he had. It's like, okay, it's a genre movie, but I can lift it.
Yeah.
I think it can thank a lot of the people I've worked with that could take a sort of I'd say a vanilla script and make something special out of it. And he had that touch. Although I have to say there was a couple of there was some odd dialogue and performance right at the beginning. But
Well, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, because I think first, let's just, for those who are uninitiated, or even if you just watch the film and you kind of want to go step by step, like Bad Day at Black Rock, 1955, John Sturges. This is a film that deals with the sort of wounds and the legacy of World War II. It was based on a magazine article or a pulp sort of magazine,
the American
short story.
magazine, whatever. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all to say that basically it's the source material for the film comes from a short story that was written during the war. It deals with, obviously, again, the legacy of World War II, but the film itself was shot in the 50s. And from, as far as we can tell, it was one of these things that kind of bounced around. The material got licensed and optioned, and the studio had it. And it became one of those things where, they were trying to attach a director and a star. And it just so happens that Spencer Tracy was on contract at MGM. I think this was
it was the last movie after 20 years.
Yeah. And you dug up some details about his reluctance to play the part.
Apparently. And I think I get it. He said he felt he was too old to play the character. And if you do the math, he would have to have been an older soldier because he's a World War II vet. But that didn't really bump me.
Yeah.
And then evidently he had a reputation of sort of at the last minute, like almost pulling out of a movie.
Interesting.
And MGM threatened to sue him right at the last minute. And he did the picture, and he's wonderful in it.
Yeah, he is. He's
I think
great.
once he showed up on set, I have a feeling he was probably great. He's a pro.
He probably just got some jitters. But.
Great performance. Good cast. Walter Brennan, Ernest Borgnine, Robert Ryan, Lee Marvin, a young, very cool Lee Marvin.
Yep. But wait, there's the best thing is that our general from White Christmas plays the
Dean
sheriff.
Jagger, who we've raved about before.
Who's been in quite a lot of things we've talked about.
Vanishing Point.
Yeah, Vanishing Point.
I think we talked about him
White
a lot.
Christmas. Dean Jagger's, it's sad.
Very interesting actor.
Yeah, he can play a wide range, actually. Well, I guess to kind of thematically sort of approach the film, I mean, in brief, it's definitely, it's not just about World War II. It's specifically about somebody coming back to deliver a medal of honor that was bestowed upon one of his soldiers, a fallen soldier in the line of duty, who saved his life, a Japanese American who saved his life.
This is a spoiler because that information comes deep in the movie.
Again, watch the film. We gave you the chance.
Well, it is.
You can still enjoy it, though.
Years old,
it is, yeah. But yeah, basically the premise is that Spencer Tracy served in Italy. He comes to this small town to deliver. Lost his arm, so he's maimed, and a lot of characters make mention of that. But he's quite adept. He's quite capable, as you find out very quickly. But so he was wounded in war, and his life was saved by a Japanese American soldier fighting with him, and the soldier died. So you
got the blue, or what is it? A Purple Heart.
Purple Heart, right? Or was it a
Medal of Honor? Because he saved Spencer.
It really
Tracy's
doesn't
life.
matter. Ultimately, he's there to deliver this
solely to his dad.
This medal to his sole surviving relative, who is his father, Kumiko. Is that it?
Kumiko. I think that's it. Yeah.
No. It's not.
Kumiko.
Kumiko, right?
Yeah, Kumiko.
Kumiko. Okay.
Komoko.
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 That's what he says.
This. Komoko.
Well, because I remember when he said it, it sounded to me like Kokomo, the Beach Boys song.
I was about to say you're both thinking of Kokomo.
I was like, is this what the Beach Boys made their song about Kokomo? No, it's not Kokomo. It's Komoko. So Komoko is his surviving relative, his father.
Who he doesn't know.
He doesn't know, but Spencer Tracy, being a good soldier,
tracked him down.
He's going to deliver this Medal of Freedom or Purple Heart that his son got, and died in battle. But instead of having that be a simple errand, he arrives to this town as an instantly sort of under the watchful eye of Robert Ryan's henchmen. He's got Ernest Borgnine and
Everybody
Lee Marvin.
in the town is like
everybody in the
really
town's
sketchy
really sketchy and fishy.
To set that up too,
Yeah.
the beginning is a express train, which
Yes.
usually blows right past all these places and stops to let him off in this town, which hadn't happened in 4 years.
Yeah, they make a big
so the
moment
train
of that.
coming to a stop.
It's the first time this
everybody's-
train stopped here in 4 years. Quite on the nose about it.
And at the end, they say second time.
So, something's afoot, and Spencer Tracy, being the intelligent man he is clearly connecting the dots here. He isn't quite sure what's up, but he knows something's off.
Yeah, everybody's staring at him, and they just basically want him to leave.
Night
They're very
one,
inhospitable.
Lee Marvin goes into his hotel room and just kicks his feet up, right? Because he gets out of the shower. I think
Yeah, and
Spencer
he's
Tracy
just laying on
takes
his
a
bed
shower.
smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, he's getting the pressures put on him to leave town. They don't take kindly to strangers. And then you're getting the sense, sort of in the wings of all of this action, Robert Ryan is pulling the strings, and he's like a rancher in town who, it's pretty clear he's obviously got everybody on his payroll, literally and figuratively, because he's kind of the one shop in town.
Yeah.
So he's the big man, and he's calling the shots, and it seems everybody in town is running scared from something, except for the town doctor, played by Walter
even
Brennan,
those guys are, but they have a conscience.
and Dean Jagger, who plays
Dean
the sheriff.
Jagger.
The sheriff
who's the male ingenue, that young guy. He wasn't
Can
bad.
you call a man an ingenue?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think
male
John
ingenue.
Erickson was that guy.
He's the one
Yeah.
that runs the hotel. He's Anne Francis's brother.
Yeah, the young kid.
Yeah, Anne Francis, the only woman in town, strangely. But yeah, Dean Jagger plays this type, which is kind of so cliche to Westerns now, and probably was even at that point. But the drunken louse sheriff who
Yeah,
has
doesn't have control over
long
the town.
since given up trying to control the town, and Robert Ryan tells him really what's up. But it's sad because you can tell whatever's happened here, there's a cover up, and we don't actually get the details until pretty late in the script.
Yeah,
in
and
the
clearly
story.
Spencer Tracy, when he gets there, the place he wants to go, everybody's going, "What?"
Yeah, he says, I gotta take a car to Alabama Flat. I'm trying to get to Alabama Flat, and
And everybody's.
I mean,
because that's where this went down.
it's pretty obvious. I guess we should say, for all of the nuance in its themes, and we'll get to sort of what the movie means
Yeah, it's
in a broader
crime
sense.
mystery.
It is a little bit. It definitely makes its points known throughout. That
Something bad
anytime
happened.
he mentions Alabama Flat, they go, "Hey, why would you want to go there?" It's it's
Yeah.
pretty clear that.
And there's no cars, there's no taxis.
Oh no, you can't go there.
He
Why would
does-
you want to go there?
Does find his way there.
He
and it's-
finds his way. Anne Francis rents him a Jeep, and she's like, "You gonna be okay with that?" And he's like, "I can handle myself even with one arm. He can shift, stick, and drive." He goes out to Alabama Flat. At this point, we're still not sure what he's seeking.
Yeah,
right?
but he hasn't mentioned anything about this guy or nobody
No.
knows about any of that.
And he finds a ruined farm, the burnt ruins of what appears to be a farm and a water well.
And flowers growing in what he figures is, we find out later, is a grave.
Which I thought
and
was
he
an
knows
interesting detail. That's what tipped him to it being a grave.
Yeah,
I guess
buried
wildflowers are planted off in usually in memory.
Well, no, I think it was because they just buried the body,
quickly.
organically. They just put the body in the ground. He said, I saw a lot of this. There's a reference to it. He goes, I saw a lot of this in Italy.
Oh,
Soldiers that were buried on the spot.
interesting.
And they sprout up because there's, it's desert, but there's something.
Well, and
there's
the nutrients of the body.
Yeah.
In a way, it's a circle of life. Yeah,
So-
no, it's a fascinating thing. And then at that point, the truth comes out. I think Robert Ryan confronts him after yet another, sort of moment of bullying. I mean, Spencer Tracy, we should say,
Well,
to
there's
this
a
point in the
threat on
film,
his life in that sequence too. On the way back,
Yeah.
Ernest
Yeah.
Borgnine tries to run him off the road. Does run him off.
yeah,
the
that's
road.
the most egregious. To that point in the film, it's like Lee Marvin, kind of strong arming him and
just
going
want him
into
to
his
leave.
hotel room, and they're flicking cigarettes at him and kind of just giving him the eye. And then Ernest Borgnine turns up the heat and tries to run him off the road when he's in his Jeep. And he gets back to town, and Ernest Borgnine's like, "Oh, that was something you did back there. You're trying to run me off, like playing mind
Look what you
games
did
with
to my
him."
car.
Yeah, and Spencer Tracy's cool as a cucumber. He really just doesn't let any of it phase him until he, really has to defend himself.
Well, and there's references a couple times that he's a pushover.
Yeah.
He'll, like, if they go, they want him to move seats, and okay, he does.
Yeah.
But there's a tip. Everybody has a you get the feeling as an audience that
it reminded me a little bit of and I'm sure there's connections we can probably research this post show, or if anyone has more knowledge, please feel free to comment. But Rambo, First Blood, like the narrative of Sylvester Stallone's
Billy
character.
Jack, a little bit.
No, but I mean, look, like specifically a Vietnam vet coming to a town, finding things are amiss and something wrong is afoot. There's something rotten in the state of Denmark. He
Billy
comes
Jack,
back.
it's the same thing. He's a vet.
But I'm saying Rambo. I'm saying First Blood.
All right.
Billy Jack different. Billy Jack is
Billy
like
Jack before Rambo.
No. But this is before Billy Jack.
Right.
Also,
But we're saying the same thing.
No. You're trying to make a comparison to a different movie. I'm saying Rambo, and you're going Billy Jack, and I'm like, no,
Well,
it's not.
It's a
No, but hear me out on the Rambo of it all, because literally the structure and the bones of this plot directly resemble what goes on there. Obviously in First Blood, there's more violence, and he takes things into his own hands rather quickly. But there's a similar sense of a straggler, a vet coming into something, knowing something's wrong with this town, but like being pushed to the point of violence, which Billy Jack does do. I mean, famously.
And I think the reason that Billy Jack
Yeah.
popped into my head is that he's a passive in the beginning. It's like he's not there for any trouble.
Right.
In Rambo, you get the feeling
But
that he's
then
just
he's
waiting
got-
for somebody to,
Yeah, he's about to.
so he can start kicking ass. And
Well-
Billy Jack, it was the last resort.
He goes, they tell me not to do.
Kids in the
Pretty
town.
bad.
It's bad.
It's bad.
But the point we're both making
Yeah.
is that these are sort of
Yeah.
universal themes.
Yeah.
The man with no name. It's Clint
exactly.
Eastwood.
Yeah, but Clint's a little bit more of a smooth operator in those films. I would say that this is a unique type.
Clint looks like trouble from the beginning.
Yeah.
Same with Rambo, I think.
Yeah,
though.
but he doesn't seek out trouble necessarily.
But we're going off. A little
We
bit
are.
sideways.
When Spencer Tracy does finally have to defend himself, it's a pretty incredible scene. There's after the attempt to run him off the road and all the bullying and the harassment, he finally decides to get out of town because there's kind of no other option. He's being
and
run
that
out.
seems to be impossible.
And even that seems to be impossible because they've cut the phone lines and
Nobody will run him a
the
car.
next train isn't going to be there till the morning. No one's going to rent him a car. So he goes, to the train depot and he's having a cup of soup at the little cafe there. And in walks Ernest Borgnine, who starts to bully him yet again. But this time...
Surrounded by all of the other sort of
surrounded
henchmen.
by Lee Marvin, Robert Ryan, all his, cronies. And Spencer fights back and does this really incredible judo chop.
Karate. It was interesting.
Yeah,
and
it's a pretty-
it never offensively.
Yeah.
It's only defensively.
And for the fact that we were saying earlier, there's like wall-to-wall score in this film by Andre Previn, and it's so aggressive and pronounced and overbearing. That moment is played.
We should go into that.
Yeah.
In general, after we
no,
sort of finish with the
no
plot.
shade to Andre Previn. It just doesn't fit the film.
it just doesn't
Yeah.
fit the film. The interesting thing about that sequence, and I love that they don't hit everything on the head, is that obviously once you learn, and this is before we know that guy had saved his life, he probably learned how to learn karate when he was in the army from this guy because they were fighting together.
Yeah, and then also like being a one-armed man, essentially, because his other arm is maimed.
That kind of, where you use the other person's
he's using the other
energy
he's
against
using
them.
Ernest Borgnine as counterweight, and it's a pretty effective little scene, and actually reminded me a lot of the fight in Lonely Are the Brave that Kirk has with the one-armed man in the bar. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Early on.
And again, don't take this the wrong way. It's a Billy Jack moment too, because that had karate.
You
in
love
it.
Billy Jack.
I don't. It's a terrible.
Man.
It's an awful movie, but
Yeah. No, you love
same
bringing it
idea,
up.
though.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
he defends himself with his hands when everybody else
Yeah, for sure. It's like
wants to use weapons. So.
yeah. But
Anyways, there are several people that were very happy to see Ernest Borgnine's character
yeah,
get the shit kicked out of him,
he did. He got
and he does.
whooped. He got whooped. But even then, Spencer Tracy's character is still in a bit of trouble. And
Nightfall is going to be
Nightfall is going to
he's
be-
going to die if he can't figure something out.
that's what the town doctor and Dean Jagger are basically telling him, that he's screwed.
They're going to kill you.
He pieces together what happened effectively because he's he's no fool.
Best scene in the movie, the gas station between him and Robert Ryan. When you get the set, you finally figure out.
Well, yeah,
what
that's
all about.
and that's in between. We actually kind of skipped over. I mean, we're not doing like a play-by-play synopsis,
Yeah, I mean,
but
that's easy to find.
yeah, it's the moment after he's run off the road and he's sort of in this limbo of like phone lines are cut, train isn't coming till tomorrow, and so he's sitting at the gas station that Anne Francis runs, and Robert Ryan kind of gives him his backstory, which is interesting, right, Al? Because basically Robert Ryan sort of admits that the day the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, he tried to enlist in the army and wasn't accepted.
He couldn't pass the physical, so
Yeah.
he was bitter about that.
Yeah.
And then we learned later on that the Komoko, he had sold the land to him, that
Robert Ryan's rented him this
whatever it
plot
is,
of land. Yeah.
and thought he had put one over on him because there's no water and you can't grow anything there. The guy manages to find a well and is successful, which pissed him off
Pretty
even more.
deep well, because we didn't mention the one detail outside of Spencer Tracy finding the wildflowers that indicate a shallow grave is that when he goes to visit Alabama Flat, he drops a rock down that well, and it does take a long. You hear it.
That was
echo,
that whole sequence, no dialogue. It reminded me a little bit of a lot of forensic shows.
Yeah,
you know, because it's like he's slowly looking at all these things and piecing it together, and as an audience, you're going,
the wheels are turning.
Figuring out.
And it's it's great too. And I wouldn't say this is even a shining example of it, because there's better films that do this. And as much as I love Bad Day at Black Rock, it's very much about there's a mechanism and there's a structure to it, which we'll get into, which is great. It's a genre piece, but having it's not a bad thing to be ahead of the audience.
No,
and sometimes
I love that.
It's like it's good.
Let us
It's
think.
yeah. I feel like it's maybe I'm like everything now is, but it is a really lost art.
They
in a
actually
way.
give
Do
the
you know what I
audience
mean?
some credit and
Yeah.
let them try to figure it out. And it's okay if we don't know quite what these pieces all lead up to.
Gonna quote PTA again because I read this somewhere, and he said, it's better to confuse people for 10 minutes than let them get ahead of you.
Yeah,
potentially.
you're lost. I
so
think if the
I think-
audience knows what's coming next.
Yeah, it's like some of the fake out of a plot like that is yes, you're aware something bad happened, but it is part of the momentum and the gravitational force of wanting to continue watching is like, well, what was it? What could have happened?
Yeah.
You're kind of piecing it together in your head, and you're with Spencer Tracy.
If you think about it, it's basically a film about there are people in this town.
Yeah.
One person did something horrible. I mean, we might as well spill the beans. Robert Ryan's character, they all got drunk the night after he couldn't enlist. So it was the day after Pearl Harbor, and he rallied up about 5 people, and they went up and to harass Komoko.
Yeah.
But Ryan ended up lighting his house on fire. The man came outside burnt on fire, and he shot him to death.
Yeah.
And now they're all buried him, and they're embarrassed. They're all covering it up because they were involved.
Well, yeah, and like a true bully, Robert Ryan has basically said everybody that was with me.
Yeah, you're all in it too.
Even though it's strongly indicated that there was a sort of mob mentality thing that happened. So I think they all have blood.
I
on
don't
their
think
hands.
anybody was
Robert Ryan
intended to kill
definitely
anyone except for
pulled
Robert
the
Ryan.
trigger, but it's pretty brutal. I mean,
so that's their story.
Yeah.
And then a stranger shows up wanting to go to this place
Years later.
That he has no idea any of those things
Yeah.
happened, but they're paranoid
Of
that
course.
he's going to find out. So
yeah. And in many ways, they kind of screw themselves over because it's such a dead giveaway from the
if
jump.
they were all like cool and go, yeah,
they're so resistant to any visitors.
they're scared shitless.
That it's like, well, what now? His curiosity's peaked even more. Where it's like, well, what the
they
fuck
had a
is
good
going
cover
on?
story too. Robert Ryan said, he goes, do you know what happened? And he goes, oh, after the war, he got sent to an internment camp. If they had all been behaving like normal people and rented him a hotel room,
and it's interesting. I was talking with Al about this, but like the real life location of it all, of the fact they shot near Lone Pine, Alabama Hills, which was
interesting.
They shot part of the Searchers there, and even as recently as like
it's a good one,
Django Unchained, and there's a long history of westerns in Hollywood going up to the Eastern Sierras to shoot. But also another sad part of the history up there is that the Manzanar detention center, where they put a lot of Japanese Americans during World War II, where they were in internment camps, that's literally like a couple miles away from where they shot this. So it's an interesting.
Which was where Ryan said he was taken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if
does
they
deal
mentioned
with-
by name,
It deals
but
with
yeah.
racism. It doesn't quite tackle it head on, except for that one
Yeah.
sequence when he's talking about this whole fallacy of Japanese Americans. That's bullshit. They're all out to get us. And he goes, really?
Well, and also just even the assumption, I think if I remember seeing correctly too, Robert Ryan is kind of leading with like, I almost trying to stoke Spencer Tracy's racism, or assuming that he's speaking to the same audience because he asks where he got his wound. He's like,
trying to rationalize
Corregidor or this or that. And he's like, no, it was in Italy.
Yeah.
Like the assumptions
And then
that
he keeps
he's
talking
making.
about Kamoko. He goes, what did he have to do with it?
Yeah, what do you have to do with Corregidor? Like, it's a really, the message is as relevant now as ever, but I mean, it is pretty incredible that the film came out in 55, you're just 10 years out from, having put World War II in the rearview mirror and everything. So that whole complicated history to address it like this is very fascinating. And, again, it kind of comes down.
It was ahead too, which I thought was
Yeah, which is great.
Was nominated he was nominated for Best Director.
Well, it's good too because it's, kind of fits this American mold too, where Spencer Tracy's like, he never has some sort of credo or manifesto a la Billy Jack where he's like trying to stand up for the things that are right. If anything, he seems like a guy that's kind of.
I think it's
kind
very
of
PTSD.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's pretty fucked up and sad.
They kind of flirt with that he was suicidal.
Yeah. Well, when he's like, "Oh, you want to go back to LA, that hotbed of vanity and whatever," and he's like, "Well, it just seemed like a good jumping off point for South America." Who knows
he
where.
basically says this was the last thing I was going to do, and then I don't know where I was going to go.
But he gets pulled in a very noir way.
Yeah, it's like a femme fatale.
Pulled in to
all he was there to do was drop off this medal to somebody he doesn't even know, and then he was going to go get lost.
That's where the noir of it comes in. Is that he's a very kind of archetypal anti-hero character who's again. And literally in this case, coming back from the war with these psychological wounds and physical wounds, and his arm is maimed, and he's just there to do one thing, and he doesn't really want to get into trouble, but goddamn, he's gonna set the record straight.
He goes, I was ready to. I don't know what I was gonna do. And he said, I didn't care anymore. I'd given up on life.
Yeah.
And he goes, and then meeting the Robert Ryan character, and what an asshole he is. He goes, now I want to live.
Well, it's scary too because this is we don't need to even walk this out much further for, I think, the implication to be known. But it's like for a film that recent after World War II to be released and essentially say that, things aren't all right on the home front. Like that's a pretty powerful message, to have gone through this sort of period of real economic boom as a country and come back and, trying to address that on a broader scale, I think is really interesting and sort of what that wound means.
For a genre movie, it had a lot of depth,
A tremendous amount of depth. Yeah.
I was going to bring up something that you mentioned this morning because we were talking about the music, and it does taper off. There's less of it later on in the movie, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
But it's very inappropriate at the beginning. But Danny had a good point. He said this wasn't that far removed from the silent era where that's all there was to the soundtrack.
True.
But it starts off with this giant, intense score.
Yeah.
Over a train with nothing has happened yet.
I know.
It just was very odd. And it dates the movie, unfortunately.
It does. Yeah.
I think this could make a really good remake, and you could do it set. You mentioned you could do it in the future, which would be interesting.
Yeah.
But you could certainly do it post 9/11 or.
Well, it has a high noon quality, which is, great. There's a sort of waiting game purgatory to it all.
Train's not coming.
Train's not coming.
Can't reach the police. There's no help coming.
One dusty town off the beaten path. I selfishly, again, watched it because I'm just fascinated with that area and the history up there.
It's beautifully shot.
And the vistas are amazing.
Big wide screens.
Oh yeah. Cinemascope. I know. The really good stuff too with well, now we got to listen to that commentary because I'm sure that
you probably heard the one clip where apparently the studio, when he said he wanted to shoot it widescreen, they were going, well, why this movie? I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. What are you going to look at? And it was kind of like, yeah, exactly.
Exactly. You want to see all that.
You're in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
I mean, these big, wide shots with maybe 5 or 6 figures head to toe. Full figured.
Which is amazing. I really love the way he stages those scenes, like especially the one where Robert Ryan is kind of talking to his posse.
Yes.
Convinces them to turn because, at first they're like, well, let's let this guy get out of here. Maybe let's give him a chance. And he's like, we're all screwed. If I go down, we go down together. And that's when he convences Ernest Borgnine to run him off the road.
The biggest chicken of them all.
Oh yeah, he's a fucking wuss. Well,
if they had all kept their cool, they probably would have left.
But that scene's staged so well because you have them by the tracks, and if I remember correctly, you kind of got them moving around and
vanishing point of the tracks,
railroad tracks, and Lee Marvin's over here like leaning against something, and there's some really creative uses of the widescreen format, which again was relatively novel at that time, but I do think that like. Speaking honestly, as somebody now looking at film and sort of the way aspect ratios are used, like I do think sometimes it's slapped onto movies that don't need it, and this is a real strong case of like, no, it deserves to be told widescreen, and he's using that canvas to its full capacity.
You because he shoots these things, head to toe and wider, you get the full physicality of all. Like Lee Marvin's physical performance is really interesting. Yeah. He's very lanky.
How about when he pulls the wires out of the car, the one escape vehicle that he had?
I was telling Danny, there's a sequence, speaking of the car, there's a sequence near the end when Spencer Tracy's basically pinned down and manages to save himself.
By making a Molotov cocktail, which is pretty cool.
But he crawls under the car to fill up a empty bottle that's off to the side. And I was watching that last night, and I turned to Tammy and I went, there would be 30 shots in a movie now if they did the sequence, and it's all in one shot. You don't need that.
Yeah, truly.
I think there's one shot of it starting to fill up with gas.
Yeah, it's like you get the idea
literally
too.
Would have been like 30.
You're like, okay, he puts it together and he starts the car. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, there would be the one under and the thing. But, which would be cool too. But it's like for this movie,
it's not about that.
It's the minimalism of it, whether intentional or just a byproduct of the restrictions of maybe the camera being bulky and light being limited.
They could have done. They could
probably a combination of the two.
It was a feature. They could have done all those things.
But that scene at the end is really great, and the way he takes down Robert Ryan is a bit of a taste of his own medicine, because this guy burned a poor innocent man alive, and so he gets the Molotov cocktail right to the face. Well. Yeah. To a rock that then
it deflects on him,
bounces to him, but
it rightly
does,
justly deserved.
And then at the end, it's like you kind of get the sense, I mean, Spencer Tracy hopefully has a few more years ahead of him.
Probably
as
saved
a man.
His life, because I got the impression that I don't think they could really have come out and said that in a movie back then.
Yeah,
like
suicide,
kind of taboo.
It's about PTSD.
Yeah, but I think that's where he was headed.
Oh yeah,
this
definitely.
was the last thing he was going to do.
He plays this role really great too. I mean, you definitely feel a sense of like
he's a wonderful actor.
He really is very subtle.
Yeah.
I mean, truly a film actor in that sense that he's able to, and I mean, in a format that wide too, with widescreen, like it's really hard. You don't ever really have like a proper close up in this movie, because even with the widescreen, it's like you never really have one. You have mediums. Sort of,
maybe cowboy waist up,
exactly. But he, despite that, it still comes across really electric, and you really feel his emotions
in that same commentary that we heard the clip of. Because I saw that same clip. I don't know. You may have sent it to me, but they talk about Spencer Tracy's process.
Oh, they do,
and that he would learn all of his dialogue and then put it away.
Really,
and for a few days, so that when he got to the set, he was listening to everything for the first time.
That's cool.
And gave just really interesting performances. I mean, it's like all the prep goes out the window.
Yeah.
And then you just step on the stage.
It's like
it's two people.
That's those are the bones of what your approach is going to be. And then you really, in many ways, directing a film is not too dissimilar, right? Where it's like you prep and you can shot list something to death and storyboard it, but ultimately it's when you're there on the day with actors blocking it out, being open to spontaneity and changes and taking something.
Not to talk about myself at all, but that reminds me of everybody's nightmare, I think, especially early on. And I hadn't been directing very long, a year or two. And, your nightmares when you're asleep is you wake up and you're on the set and you don't know what you're doing and you haven't prepared anything. I actually had that happen because a good friend of mine was sick who was directing the episode and got ill, and I got a call in the middle of the night that I had to show up the next day, and I was going to fill in
for a big sequence too, right?
Huge sequence. And you know what? I figured it out on the fly. And it was like, after that, it really does make you realize,
trusting.
You can figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I so much of it too is like
Spielberg doesn't use a shot list anymore, apparently.
Yeah,
I'm sure they do some big, intricate scenes, but
he's also just, it's great to see him work in some of the BTS making of featurettes and things like that, because he is so awake to the potentials of like how to break up a scene visually. I think he's one of the masters at doing that. Exactly. It's like, I remember even something in the Bridge of Spies special features where it's a really simple scene, but it's like the moment Tom Hanks comes in to take the case, because he's going to represent the Soviet defector or the double agent. There's like this shot that takes him sort of as like, the intro to the scene when he walks in, like, we got something for you, and they put this like legal thing down, and like you watch him in this BTS kind of discover that he's like, okay, cool, if that can land here, that's our kind of out. And then it's like
he's thinking
moments later, they're at the table, thinking of how to kind of, it's kind of a Hitchcockian thing to almost like be like, what's my out on this scene? Like visually, how's that going to transition to now they're sitting talking? It's a couple moments later. These subliminal things that are just like part of the language of cinema that you like would watch and like not even clock if they work. But
it's a difference between being in the moment just for the scene you're in, but also in your head, you've got to keep the connective tissue in your mind. Where am I coming from? What are we going to?
Totally. You got to see the forest for the trees. Yeah.
But that's all fun stuff. I think.
know.
And he's embraced that by not worrying about having a shot list every day.
No, I know.
But
he's great.
I always felt that if you do all that prep work and you get there and all of a sudden location isn't available and you have to shoot somewhere else, you could figure it out. But just having it in your head, writing it down.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And then you could throw it out the window.
Well, we talked about Hong Sang-soo, the Korean filmmaker I love, who makes, like 1 to 3 movies a year. He's extremely prolific. And
how fun would that be?
Very, very lo-fi DIY. But his whole thing now that he's kind of become this sort of grand master at what he does, and he's been making films for over several decades now. But he says he wakes up early in the morning and will like rip apart the old script pages and just write new dialogue and come fresh to set with things. So he likes
the actors love that.
Well, he works. That's like part of the.
They know it's.
You know what I mean? Like they know that's like what he's doing. So, but I think
kind of not fair, but. To an actor.
I don't know. You should see his movies and then judge.
No, I'm not. Yeah. I'm sure the product's good, but just as
no. But I think as an actor now, he has that reputation where it's like that's fun. It's like they want to sign up for that kind of experience. It's not like an off-putting thing to them. If anything, that's probably the element that attracts them to working with him, is because it's like we're gonna go out there into the deep end together, and we'll see what happens. Yeah. But this is gonna be, But again, it's part and parcel of the same conversation of like. Trusting your instincts, and then also knowing that when you have the right ingredients together with the crew and actors, like this, none of this is to diminish that stuff, because you do need to have the pieces there.
Yeah.
But when that's all well oiled and ready to go, you can,
Well, not to use a beaten to death phrase, but if everybody's rowing in the same direction,
that's a good one.
Know he's got it in his head, then everybody will make it happen.
Row your boat.
Row your boat, baby.
Life is but a dream, not a dream, but. It's an interesting phrase.
So let's see. What else can we...
no, but back to the film. You did make an interesting point about the widescreen framing, that there's definitely moments that feel kind of theatrical about it, which is, which is great. You could easily adapt this for the stage because,
absolutely,
there's just the one main town, the train depot, and Alabama Flat. That's pretty much it.
There's like 3, the interior sets. There's police, the sheriff's station, which
the doctor's office or mortuary,
and the diner and the hotel, which is the main interior.
Yeah, that's like the one that gets the most use, I would say.
And they don't go into tons of depth about kind of. We figure out what happened as Spencer Tracy figures it out, and you never really don't see it.
I think
that's no flashback.
That's what I like about. Yeah, you're right. That's
which I love.
An important thing is that you kind of just live with the debris of it, and the town itself is kind of the debris of it. It's very much. I think there's probably
and they're all damaged after it. One of the people, basically.
Hold on, I had an idea.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, but I had to get this out, and I lost it. Shit. Damn it. It was like, it's probably not unique for me to be pointing this out, and there's definitely more.
Well, I mentioned the flashback,
scholarly insights into this, but like, it's definitely an allegory for like a nation carrying trauma and guilt, right? Like the town itself is kind of a microcosm that reflects America at large. It reminds me a little bit too.
The Japanese.
You ever see Lars von Trier's Dogville, the one he did that was kind of like a Brechtian play, where it was like
I don't think
Nicole
saw that
Kidman comes to a small town in the South and she's running away from like her mob dad. You don't know at the time she's running away from a man of that stature, but she goes to hide out in this small town. He shot it in this really kind of conceptually crazy way where they did it on a soundstage in Denmark, and everything is in this open soundstage with like no flats, just chalk. Yeah, really experimental, but pretty incredible film, and brutal as only Von Trier films can be. But it is about this town that's kind of, in this case, they take the gift of this woman who's hiding out and offering to do things for them, and it goes too far, but it becomes this allegory about like human nature. Whereas I think Black Rock and the town itself is also kind of this composite of America and our feelings post-war.
I think the guilt, the way the Japanese were treated.
Totally. Yeah. It's fascinating though, because
that's what they represent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really about that.
Yeah. And the landscape to me, I mean, maybe from what you're saying, that soundbite of Preston Sturges in the commentary, fighting for it, he clearly was aware of the broader implications of it, not just on a nuts and bolts level of like, look where we are, middle of nowhere, but I think, philosophically speaking, like maybe this is a bit of a reach, but it definitely feels like it puts this in a register that's a bit more like, it makes it more theatrical, that it's in this kind of like,
there's a great, Robert Ryan has a good speech when he's talking about the West and,
that's our West.
And all the developers that are coming in here. So it's sort of in that sense, it reminded both of us a little bit of Lonely Are the Brave, which is post-Western.
But the thing with Robert Ryan's character that's so fascinating too is that he's so twisted in his own mind, and none of that's his, right? It's like he comes there as a rancher thinking like, I have eminent domain, where it's like, you never know, you don't.
And
if anything, it goes back.
You're just like all these
tribal ancestry and Native Americans,
like to stir up trouble.
Exactly. It's a really fascinating character type, and also like,
and they stirred up the trouble.
Robert Ryan
never does anything.
He's pretty unlikable. I got to give him props for
Tracy
playing that.
Never comes in there to cause any problem.
All he wants to do is deliver this.
It's their guilt that makes everything fall apart.
Which
is good because they get their comeuppance.
Bad day at Black Rock. It's a good one.
Bad day at Black Rock. I think it's a good one.
I think it is too.
I think this was a good idea for us to kind of revisit our original format.
Well, and I will say, we've had some gaps. We usually are on pace to do like one a month.
Well, we have had a new addition to our family.
Yes, we welcome into the world baby Elliot B.
Girl,
Kim.
Elliot B. Kim.
She's the cutest thing ever. And hopefully we'll have her on the pod at one time. Yeah.
We will someday.
And she's great. She's an honorary Timecode Cowgirl already. We're very proud to have her, and we are
cousins
soon
on the way
to welcome in. Yes, my second niece and your second granddaughter.
And we just posted the last one we did, the baseball one, and I realized in that I said, and I'm going to not say it anymore. I keep saying the next one's going to be Star Wars with Colin.
Oh, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Maybe now that they're bringing out the legacy characters at Disney, have you seen they're doing that?
Yes, we were all together over the weekend talking about this, but I'm not going to promise anything.
People are mad that Han Solo doesn't look like Han Solo.
Well,
the guy they hired,
he isn't. It's going to be somebody dressed like.
I really liked Bad Day at Black Rock. I recommend.
I really liked it
you
too.
Watch it. Thank you, Criterion Collection, for putting it on. I think it's just probably part of the channel. I don't know if they actually have a physical release of that, but I'll double check.
No, I saw when I was trying to find it yesterday.
Yeah.
I ended up renting it to stream, but now that I want to get there's a 4K
Blu-ray
transfer.
They're coming out with the 4K transfer of, speaking of Lee Marvin, who plays one of the town.
He was really good in this.
Yeah, very very
kind of.
He's the muscle.
He doesn't want to get anywhere near
Spencer Tracy after
seeing him kick the shit out of the real muscle.
Lee Marvin and Point Blank, the John Boorman.
We should do that.
John Boorman film is just got a new 4K restoration.
All right, we'll do that one because that's one that we both really
it's classic,
like.
Yeah, and it's a great LA film too.
It is, and also very straight. Like,
it's
we'll get into that.
Ethereal.
We'll save that for So I think that's good. I would recommend this movie in particular. You guys would like it. It does resonate with what's going on in today's world quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
And from a filmmaking point of view, it's fascinating to see a really excellent use of widescreen in a movie that doesn't have a lot of visuals, other than letting the terrain and the people take care of that. So it's good.
Yeah, it is the proscenium, the stage.
Which it's an appropriate kind of a film to cue a bullwhip.